So next up, we have the CEO of Digitas, Kareem. So he's going to be talking about getting up close and personal. So a fun fact about Kareem is that he used to be an ex-pro footballer, playing for the likes of Dortmund in Germany. Now he's turned to amateur boxing, and next he's going to be coming up on stage. So please welcome onto the stage, Kareem.
Just 1 second. Yeah, let me just get Unfortunately, there's no boxing later. You said there's only football, yeah? Unless anybody wants to participate in an amazing boxing event that happened just on the weekend here in Riyadh as well. So phenomenal, incredible. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you here today. Declan, also I think you've put forward the underwater suite for the competition, haven't you? That's only a 35,000 dirham room that's up for competition later. So a big thank you to our partners for the opportunity to address you today. And thank you so much for your attendance as well. So let's get personal. My name is Kareem Onem. I am the CEO of Digitas. We are actually part of the Publicis Group. And we focus mainly on what we call the marketing transformation agenda. The agenda is around helping our clients organize themselves to deliver on the customer promise. What we see time and time again, and we are all guilty, including ourselves, that we make big promises to deliver a particular experience, a solution, a product, but yet we're not organized internally to deliver on that. So the 48-hour turnaround becomes a 7-day turnaround. The 7-day turnaround becomes 14-day turnaround. And we're seeing more and more pressure from our clients as the world becomes more and more digital, that the expectation is now, not tomorrow, not next week. So now I've introduced myself, I want to just run one small little exercise. Could I ask you to turn to the person to your right and share 3 pieces of information? Your name, the city you were born in, and your favorite cuisine. And I'll explain why a little bit later on. Don't be shy. There's lots of people not talking. Okay, all right. I'm going to put an end there because I think it actually ended up going on. That's also my favorite cuisine. Oh, I'm also from that city. Or that's also my name. I'll explain a little bit later why I asked you to do that. And actually, as we have lunch as well, we can probably explore that further. So, today I wanted to discuss 3 key imperatives with you and try to encourage some exploration around what are these cultural shifts and why it's important to be aware of these shifts and what do you need to do to ensure that you are ahead of the curve. These societal shifts we're going to be talking about may help you be as relevant to your current set of employees and the new employees that are coming on board, because today employees are smarter, they're younger, and they're braver in the way that they work. Your customers are intrinsically selfish. I want something now, I want it in my particular way, and they're also very digitally savvy. But also citizens, so for anyone working in the public sector and are providing citizen services, we want to provide frictionless services and make the society happy. But to put it simply, it's talking about the purpose of the culture of experimentation. Peter Drucker famously once said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." I don't think he actually meant strategy is not important, but that statement has stood the test of time. And actually I would propose that statement alone today is around we no longer need to hard code our business strategy on day 1 of our creation of an organization, of a team, or a product. We are notorious for building 500-page presentations, complex, detailed, deep, and complex, and never looked upon once they've actually been presented because they're out of date. Today's modern-day organization is actually built around the culture of success and a vision of what does that mean for tomorrow. But culture is nothing without principles. And principles are not just words on the wall. I'm pretty sure that the organizations we all represent have be honest, be true, be committed, be open, all of these type of words on the wall. But we rarely live them. But we need people to bring principles alive. And people need to believe in what the principles are. And we frame this as the human dynamo. And we've actually got a video to show of our friends in Netflix who have taken this and actually brought it alive. So I'll take a few minutes to show you the video. We'll take a few minutes in a minute to show you the video. It's working now.
So at Netflix, we have a strong culture of experimentation, which means that all of our product changes are tested.
Experimentation is about enabling faster decisions and better decisions, and it's the driving force behind the pace of our innovations. Netflix is one of the rare companies that has the infrastructure, scale, and agility to advance experimental methods and be a pioneer in this field.
If we want to answer a question, we're going to run an experiment. We're going to gather that clean data. Through that process, we'll be able to get the best information we can to make the best decision possible.
You construct these experiments, you really see what works, what doesn't, and it's just this freedom to run the tests that you want to run.
We do get to use real-world data to answer these questions.
I felt really empowered when I realized that the A/B tests that I'm running are impacting millions of people, and the results of these tests were used to, make a decision that affects millions and millions of Netflix customers.
If every single Netflix member is on average in 20 experiments, and each experiment has 3 variants, that's 3.5 billion Netflix experiences. Effectively, what this means is that each user gets a unique version of Netflix.
It's very exciting to work in a company where the executives respect the data, and they're very involved in, looking at the results of the experiments that we run. The decisions that are made are both based on data and on business intuition. So it's this, relationship between the two that's really driving the decisions going forward. And I really think that that's the best way that a company can grow and move forward.
It's not sort of top down, we're all doing the same thing, but rather the executives try to share as much context about our business objectives, and then it's up to the individual teams to execute on those objectives.
It's not someone going on a hunch thinking, this sort of marketing or advertising works best. Everything is rigorously tested.
I think that's the really exciting part about our testing culture, is that we let the data speak to those changes rather than us thinking we know what's best for our customers. We can see the impact of our work on a daily basis, and that's what really gets me excited about working at Netflix.
My favorite part about being here at Netflix has really been sort of the combination of how the teams work together. When we come together, we can actually achieve pretty remarkable things.
So I actually think that video is beautiful, because what does it show you? It shows you a company where technology is at the service of the business rather than business is at the service of technology. It brings together the importance of people living the culture of experimentation and using the technology available to facilitate that, to embrace it. But let's be fair. Most of these organizations, such as the Netflix, the Ubers, the Kenims, they're very much born digital. And many of us represent legacy organizations that have ways of working, governance models, and systems that have been built over years and years and years. So to break such a way of working is very, very difficult. So how do we become like digital? We've tried to frame it using 3 terms. So naturally, evolution. The process of an ever-looping evolution, experimenting, reviewing, adapting within your digital ecosystem and landscape. Multiply that by resilience. Data doesn't lie, but our emotions do. The amount of stakeholders, C-suites, board people that I have sat with that will deny the fact that data is showing something is not working because there is an inherent belief our product, service, or business is in need to the service of the public or their target audience. That self-belief stops us from innovating and moving forward. So we need resilience, or we need to learn the process of resilience or tenacity to acknowledge that the data is providing us feedback that nobody in our team may be telling us. And this will allow us to make incremental changes that have a significant impact on your business. Once nailed, we then metamorphosize into a transformational butterfly, rather than just being a faster caterpillar. This is an evolutionary organization that grows through the feedback loops of both data and something that I haven't discussed, which is business intuition. But there are other catalytic proponents that contribute towards becoming an organization that tries to be always in beta in order to achieve what we would call the impossible. But in order to do that, we have to change perspective on some words. And these words are used constantly in almost every meeting I've ever attended in any organization: risk and failure. Now, I've heard 2 different organizations look at risk and failure very, very differently here. But if we were to live and die by what the dictionary says, these are very evil words. They bring down businesses. We should, if you recall that 500-page deck I mentioned at the beginning, the hard code strategy, on page 250, we're going to hide the risks. We're going to put them in there. We're going to pretend that we've acknowledged them, put them in that cupboard, lock it up, retina recognition, facial recognition technology, padlock. It's gone. We've now acknowledged risk. But do these words really bring down businesses? I'd argue no. But I would ask the question, should we address them together as one single approach? So just to get a little bit more interactivity, we're asking the question, does failure and risk go hand in hand? Do we address it together? Or do you consider it as 2 distinct, separate concepts that should be addressed in silo? 30 seconds. Wow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's a really, really interesting outcome. Because through the studies and through the research that we have been doing, we would actually argue that these 2 are hand in hand. And part of what we wanted to talk about today is how do we turn the notion on its head that failure and risk should be separate and avoided. They should be embraced together, like one big family of risk. We call it actually the big family of, the big failure-loving family with lots of little risk children in there. We actually look at this as a creation of a value exchange. So failure and risk become a value exchange between each other. And we see it as a value mechanism for failure. And I want to give a personal example here. So we naturally, as an organization, respond to many RFPs, and we engage with a number of different clients. Whenever we receive an RFP, which might be a little bit challenging outside our comfort zone, in the kickoff meeting when we start to review, do we have the capability to respond? Do we have the available resource to respond? Is this something we want to proceed? We ask the questions to ourselves to try and stop ourselves from bidding, rather than thinking about, if we don't bid, what is the risk to our business? Because maybe the client that we're looking to bid on has identified a sentiment or a need that nobody else has seen. And today we've received one RFP that describes this need. Next year we're going to receive 10. But we're not ready because we decided to stay within our comfort zone. We haven't pushed the boundaries of our mindsets in order to get somewhere and to make a difference in our business, because if we don't grow, we die. So by providing the risk analysis, we automatically start to consider suggestive solutions. We start to trade invaluable lessons together to drive this innovation and this progression. Or to simply put it, it starts to enable growth. So I fundamentally believe that if we embrace the culture of experimentation, we naturally become a force for growth. Growth comes via innovation, the ability to change. It creates competitive edge. Why should I not go into a car showroom and make a choice? I have the intent to buy, but I also have the need for financial support. I need to take an auto loan. Why do I have to wait 2 weeks in order to walk out with the keys of my car because the bank decides to put numerous manual processes in between my willingness to buy, their willingness to fund, and the car company's willingness to release? Why can it not be 2 hours? Why not create a competitive edge? Why should I have to bundle telco services together? As a customer, a consumer, I want the choice. On-demand services. Or if it's a public service, I start online, but because the system goes down, I have to then go to the service center and wait 2, 3, 4 hours to be served. That's the breakdown of the promise I'm talking about. So by challenging such status quos, it naturally leads us to a pathway of growth. And growth, I don't just mean financial growth. What I'm talking about here is product maturity, data impact, appreciation, and the ability to grow your people in ways that make you an employer of choice. And that's not just based on we pay the highest salary or we offer the best bonuses or benefits. So, okay. Preaching is done. We all want to become experiential. We can all take a ticket and get in line for this. But what now? It's very easy to stand here and just talk in principle. Well, one thing I haven't really focused on is around business intuition. And I think all in here as leaders, whether that's in marketing, whether that's in product, whether that's in senior leadership, we've all got experience. We've all worked in our industry or with our company for a period of time. We've all learned through the mistakes of the past in order to be better for the future. So the importance of business intuition, in my opinion, is very high. However, a question to gauge your opinion on the actions. Should business intuition guide actions based on experiential results? Again, 30 seconds. Not to influence the outcome, but if everybody says no, I'll be saying sayonara and walking out. And that's influenced the no now. Okay. I think the gap's big enough to put it to an end. The reality is in all of this is that I want to talk about is the uncomfortable truth. Data really does expose a level of insecurity and vulnerability that can sometimes put business leaders in a very uncomfortable position. Each one of you can describe what you are good at or what is your organization good at today. But what we are very bad at is enabling and envisioning what the future should be. What is the demands of our customers? Why are they coming to our website for Atlantis today, but they haven't come back tomorrow? Why are we looking at this and saying our product's relevance today is growing phenomenally? But actually, when you start to look at other data inputs and data points, we're seeing that there's actually a shift in the environment. The global economy is under pressure right now. What are we doing to protect ourselves? Or are we sitting here believing just because year on year we're showing growth from certain parts of the economy, we don't need to worry about what's happening in a few years because that will take care of itself? We need to be a little bit different. So we need to turn the uncomfortable truth, which really shouldn't be that uncomfortable, into actionable outcomes and find a way to harmonize your business intuition with your data. And in my opinion, this is where the power of technology and brave leadership plays a role. Let's be honest, we've been talking a lot about data today. And what we haven't acknowledged is actually there's sometimes too much data. Data for the sake of data will get you nowhere. How we aggregate, how we appreciate, how we visualize that data is everything. And how do we make decisions off of that? With the onset of generative AI, intelligent real-time dashboards, insights, all of these things are slapping us in the face continually. But what this is also screaming is that we need to break down data sets into meaningful, tested outcomes. You cannot fit an elephant into a mini. You have to break it into pieces. And the larger you get, the smaller you have to become internally. That challenges the core hierarchical structure of most organizations we work in today. Companies that are open to experimental culture are the companies in the future that people want to work with. They allow innovation. They encourage risk-taking. They synergize that intuition with the business data. The risk is when you're flooded with data, you get caught up in it and you start to delay decisions, which is a behavior that we have historically done because we never had access to data. So unfortunately, we're finding ourselves almost same outcome, different input. As we start to bring the session to close, and I'm conscious I think the panel is straight after this, anchoring some of the wisdom, the experiential path of innovation. There's just 5 key points that I would love for you to take note of, and if nothing else, remember these. We talk about the importance of language. Look at risk, look at failure, and turn that away from ignoring to exploring. It is not a personal attack on your ability to do a job. It's understanding that our audience may have changed. And that change can happen on multiple times during the day. Perspective is key. It's not what we sell, it's why do we sell it. And sometimes businesses forget the why. The purpose is absolutely fundamentally important. Be at the forefront of risk-taking. Demand that. Start in front of the audience in a pink shirt and ask everybody to allow to take risk, embrace that risk, and reward risk. Too many organizations today, and many business leaders around the world will be guilty of this. We reward financial performance rather than we reward risk-taking. The investment in the future of our business lies in the people that are willing to break boundaries, not just say yes. A growth mindset is a culture. And again, allowing data to drive growth is a fundamental principle in any successful business today. And make the uncomfortable truth just a truth. Let's embrace what the world is telling us. Let's change, even if we think we don't need to change. Because when tomorrow comes, it's already too late to change. So, would obviously like to welcome you all to our booth to come and have further conversations about this, to understand how we infuse business intuition with real-time data. I can also give you a little bit of an insight over lunch or at the booth on why did I ask you to share some of those quite personal pieces of information to each other. And thank you very much for your time. Assalamu alaikum, and enjoy the rest of the day.